December is here, and we are about to find out if the market here in Panama City Beach is as cold as the weather outside. We're going to be looking over the data that just came out at the start of December for Panama City Beach, and then also break it down in the zip codes in this video. This is Mark on the Market, where almost every single week I'm going over what's active, pending, and sold in Panama City Beach over the past week. So let's get started. Jumping into the data, what we see, this is for Panama City Beach overall. We see the number of listings on the market starting to tail down just a little bit over the past couple months. Absorption rate, this is another name for inventory. We're starting to see this come down a little bit. We're still sitting high. We're at over 10 months of inventory. And typically a neutral market would be around 6 months of inventory. So it's definitely still a buyer's market right now in Panama City Beach. And we can see that in the sold to list ratio number. We're seeing on average listings are selling for 91.5% of their original list price. Days on market, it's dropped over this past month in November. It may be that buyer activity could be picking up, but we'll just have to wait and see if that trend continues. Looking at the summary statistics overall, the big ones that I like to point out, average sale price. So comparing November of 2023 to 2024, the average sale price in Panama City Beach overall dropped by 17%. Looking at the year-to-date number, so this is averaging January through November of 2023 against 2024 over that same time period. And we see that the average sale price dropped 9%. So not quite as bad as that November to November. Just looking at those 2 months individually. Median sale price, again, if we look at November 2023 to 2024, the number's a little worse at 23%, but if we look at the year-to-date numbers, it's only down 4% overall in Panama City Beach. Sold listings, this is something that has dropped significantly this year. Year-to-date, our number of closed sales is down 16%. So that signifies that there's less buyers in the market right now, probably because the interest rates are still high. Pending listings, overall, it's down 15%, which should mirror something fairly close to the closed listings. But one highlight that we see is that the pending listings in November shot up 15% compared to 2023. So it may signal that maybe buyers are coming back in the market. In the one of the zip codes that we'll dive deep into, we'll see that there might be one that's outperforming the others. Number of new listings hitting the market. This month, November, it's down 8%, so not as many sellers putting their home on the market. But year to date, we've had a slight increase in the number of owners that put their home on the market. So the first zip code that we're going to look at is 32413. This is over on the west end of Panama City Beach. Anywhere, I think, from Open Sands or Bidawee west to Lake Powell and north to, I think, Margaritaville is also included in this. So what we see here, the number of listings is kind of mirroring the Panama City Beach overall. Absorption rate, inventory, it did go up in October, but it came down slightly in November. So inventory might be leveling off somewhere around that 8.8 months of inventory, which is still a buyer's market. Days on market is continuing to climb up in this zip code. It's sitting at 104 days on average. Average sale price this past month, comparing November of 2023 to 2024, it's only down 6%, so not as bad as Panama City Beach overall, but we see that the year-to-date number is worse at 13%. Median sale price in this zip code was down 27% in November of 2024 versus 2023, but year-to-date it's down 5%. Number of closed listings is down 7%. Year to date, last month was worse at 24% compared to November of 2023. The number of pending listings is down 10% year to date. Number of new listings hitting the market is up only 0.6%. So that's the 32413 zip code. That's the west end. The next one that I'm going to look at is the 32407 zip code. So this is basically the central part of Panama City Beach and then like north of the Hathaway Bridge. Near the apartments right there. So looking at the number of listings, follows similar trend. Absorption rate has been coming down in this zip code, which is good. They're sitting though at 10 months of inventory, so higher than the west end. Days on market was going down. Now it's coming back up a little bit. They're sitting at 110 days on average. Sold to list ratio in this zip code is at 93%. Average sale price in this zip code is down 13%, comparing November 2023 to 2024. Year to date, though, they're only down 7%. Median sale price, it's down both for the November to November and also year to date numbers, but not down as bad as the 32413 zip code. Just looking at the Novembers, it's down 8%. One thing that I saw that was very interesting in this zip code, though, the number of sold listings. So year to date, they are down 10.5%. But if you look at just November, they were up 93% for the number of closed listings last month, which is insane. So November of 2023, there was 31 closed sales in this zip code. But this past month, they had 60 closed sales. So a huge jump. And my guess is that there's Breakfast Point in this zip code. That's one of the most popular neighborhoods around here. They've got a ton of new construction from Fisher Homes, from Truland Homes, and I think there's one other one back in there. And then there's also a neighborhood just behind the Glades too. So there's multiple new construction neighborhoods, and typically these builders are running incentives on their inventory to try to move it. So I'm thinking that may be part of the reason why this number is higher. Number of pending listings is down 8%, but here we have again, like for this past month, November, this 32407 zip code had a huge increase in the number of pending listings. So my guess is this, when we get the stats for December, my guess is that it would also show an increase in the number of closed listings. For the number of new listings in this zip code, though, it's up 10% year to date compared to last year, which is a lot higher than some of these other zip codes. And just last month alone, it's up 50%. So a lot of new inventory hitting the market, which might mean that it could get saturated and these numbers could go down. I don't know. 32408 is the last zip code that we're going to look at. This is over on the east end near like St. Andrew State Park, Bay Point. What we have here is a very steady graph of inventory rising over the past year up until October, where it hit 12.2 months of inventory. And then in November, it dropped for the first time for this whole past year, which is a good sign. So hopefully it continues that trend and heads to a neutral market. Sold to list ratio this past month was at 91%, so a little lower than the 32407 zip code. Days on market looks a little funky. It was climbing pretty sky high at 130 days, and then it just sharply dropped to 103 days this past month. Average sale price in this zip code year to date is down 4%. Median sale price is down year to date 3.5%. But if we look at just November alone, comparing 2024 to 2023, we see that it's down 17% for the average sale price, down about 11% for the median sale price. So that may signify that this number is going to get worse still. Only time will tell, though. So if we look at the number of closed listings year to date, it's down 25% in this zip code. And the November stat is right around the same amount at down 22%. If we look at the pending listing, it's down 20% year to date. But again, here we have the pending listings in November was up compared to November of 2023. So maybe buyers are coming back in the market. Number of new listings hitting the market. This one actually saw a decrease in the number of new listings hitting the market. Last month, it was down 23% compared to 2023. Year to date, it's down about 2%. So the next thing that I want to look at is the interest rates. This to me is one of the big reasons why the market is so slow, especially here where we have a lot of investment properties. Things just don't make sense from an investment standpoint for a lot of people, especially with the higher interest rates, especially when we had, 2 or 3% interest rates just a few years ago. But what we see over this past month, basically since the end of September, interest rates have been rising from 6.08% all the way up to now we're sitting at right around 6.8%. So 6.08 to 6.8%. That's a pretty big jump just in the span of a month and a half or 2 months. We're going to switch gears and look at what is new, what is pending, and what has sold over the past week. And I'm also going to go into a few listings that really caught my eye just because they had some rental numbers attached to it. But if we look at the new listings, on the low end, we've got some rentals. And then on the high end, we've got a duplex over on the east end on Thomas Drive. We've got a nice house on Lighthouse Lagoon Court. And then we've got one over in Wild Heron, a very nice house. A couple waterfront homes as well, and a bunch of condos that hit the market. So 58 new listings over this past week, 50 that closed over the past week, which that's a good sign, having around the same amount of new listings, around the same amount of closed listings. If we look at what has actually closed on the very high end, we've got this home on the west end, ended up closing for $5 million. And this is right near one of my favorite beach accesses on the west end. So beautiful home. Not surprised that it closed for that much. Let's see what they were listed at though before. So they were originally listed at 6.3 million, and then they dropped their price to 5.8 million, and then they ended up closing at 5 million. So like the stats have showed, there's tons of room for negotiation. When you have a buyer approach your property and want to put in an offer, it's probably best that you try to negotiate the best as you can to make that deal work, because you may not get another offer on it. Also on the high end, we've got one over in Bidawee on Mill Cole Avenue. We've got a nice home in a neighborhood that does not allow short-term rentals. This is over on the east end. More modern design inside. We've got some condos, one on Wahoo Lane, which for a couple weeks ago, that's all I was seeing was Wahoo Lane all over the place. This one on Memory Lane ended up closing. This one I had been keeping track of. They closed at 777, and they were listed, I think, at 800 or 810 at the time. Initially listed at 825, but this one had rental numbers attached to it, and they were pretty solid too. This was over on the west end, nice home. And then we'll go over into what has gone pending over the past week. We've got 23 listings that went pending. A few of them are rentals. On the high end, we've got one over at Palazzo on the west end. This is one of the nicer buildings in Panama City Beach. Right across the street from where they're putting in a McGuire's, which is awesome. We've got one over in Wild Heron. This is close to like their amenity center. It's a nice home. Pending, they were listed at 728. This one may have been just listed, may have been off market, and then they added it to it. One over on the west end for 660. A couple new construction homes over in Breakfast Point. Said this is Truland Homes. This is one of their newer models that they've rolled out. This is one of their older ones on Walsingham Way. Weird name, but it is what it is. And we'll switch over to the under contract now, taking up backup offers. There's 12 of those. So on the high end here, we've got this one on Susan Avenue. This one was really cool, actually. It had a pickleball court in the backyard. Looks like they had rental numbers on it, 252. I'm guessing this was probably projection, but definitely built for a rental just from the looks of it. Not too far from the beach. This is another one. This is on Thomas Drive. I think this one, there's a few over in this like strip right here that have been on and off the market for a year. This one had a pool basically right across the street from the park, Rick Seltzer Park, walking distance to Mr. Surfs and Fins. And then another one on Beach Drive ended up closing. This is over on the east end too. Definitely built for a short-term rental, or went pending, I guess I should say. Few on the west end, like this LeGrand Drive. So this one probably would come in and redo it, but might have some decent bones on it. And lastly, what I want to show you are 3 listings that stuck out to me over this past week. So this first one, there's 2 on Pine Tree over on the east end. All 3 of these had video or had rental numbers, actual numbers for either 2023 or 2024 year to date. This first one listed at 425. They have 21,000 for gross rental numbers for last year. So not a great rental, but it was rented by Vacasa, and typically their numbers are a little bit lower than if you were to self-manage or get a smaller company to do it. This 5817 Pine Tree is another one that caught my eye. Looks nice inside. Looks like quartz countertops, stainless steel appliances, nice neutral bright color, nice screened in porch area, and not too far from the beach. This one had rental numbers of 51.7 thousand year to date for their gross, so that's right in line with what I would look for if I were looking for a rental property. And then this last one is over at Calypso Tower 2. This is 1206. Nice unit, nice and bright inside, and this one had 65,000 on the books year to date. So fairly good for a condo like this. To me, this one's probably the winner out of all of them, out of these three, just because the gross rental number is higher than the list price. So to me, that might signify that it would have a better chance of cash flowing. But that's it for this week. If you found this helpful, like this video, send me a comment, and I will see you next time.